Hi, my name's Garrett Town, president of AM Solar. We specialize in mobile power system conversions. One of our biggest markets is van conversions, and Chris and Sarah have been our brand ambassadors for about 2 years now since they did a DIY system with us, and now they're on their second system. Our crew has a lot of questions for them.
I'm Chris, and this is Sarah, and that's our little dog Kramer down there in the corner. And we run a YouTube channel called Let's Be Us, where we explore sort of from our Sprinter van in all sorts of different places.
Why did you decide to go with the VanLife, and why solar?
Yeah, so about 3 years ago, we were working from home while living in Seattle. We were both fully remote, and we decided we wanted to take our work on the road. And so we weighed our options and decided that VanLife was going to be the best one for us. We wanted to be able to custom build our own RV that was very work friendly. We had computers in there, we had all that kind of thing. It was just this perfect home and office on wheels. And then we decided to go with solar and add that into our van because we wanted to be able to go park off-grid, a national forest or BLM, and just go wherever, whenever we wanted and not have to worry about always finding somewhere to plug in to have power. So that's why we incorporated solar in our van.
You've done 2 DIY van conversions, correct? Why did you choose to go with a smaller van the second time around?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, so our first van was the Mercedes 170 Extended Sprinter, which is, I think, the longest of the cargo vans that you can get. It was really big.
Super long.
Very long. But we loved that van. It was great for us. We were full-time in it, and we knew we were going to be full-time for at least a year when we purchased it. It ended up being full-time for almost, or it was a year and a half when we sold it during COVID. So we would have done it about 2 years, but COVID messed that up. We loved that van, and we knew that if we were going to hit the road and do the van life option, that we wanted to have as much room as possible. That van had a shower, an office, a full-size bed, bike storage, everything that we thought we needed. The second van, we knew that we were buying it with the option of going full-time, but more than likely being more part-time, so going on the road for months at a time. So we recently purchased a house. We're not technically full-time traveling anymore, but we are planning to hit the road for segments of 2 to 4 months at a time to go travel west or wherever we want to go.
Yeah, we realized that having such a big van that there were things in there that we didn't have to have all the time because we were preparing for winter and summer and spring and fall and all these different terrains around America, and now we can say, hey, we're gonna just take what we need and we're experiencing this place in three or 4 months and then coming back and resetting and then going back out again.
Yeah, so we don't have to pack our winter coats if we're traveling during the summer and that kind of thing. So a little bit more of a focused adventure mobile.
Yeah.
Does your dog like van life?
Yes, our dog loves van life. He prefers the van to the house, I will say. Do you agree?
Yeah, he loves the van more than the house, for sure.
I mean, he likes our house, but the van, people think that taking a dog in a van sometimes is cruel, and we would argue that and say, he has his best life in the van. That dog is at dog parks every day, or else he's hiking with us, or he's all the time doing something. We're more intentional about getting him out and getting him exercise when we're in the van than we are in the house. That being said, there are some struggles that come with van life. We have to travel more moderate climates, always be aware of how hot or cold it is in the van. Our new van is going to have an AC unit, which is going to greatly help it. We're going to run it off our battery bank in our van, thanks to AM Solar. So that's going to be a huge game changer for us. It's going to give us a little more flexibility, but there are concerns that come with traveling with the dog.
Yeah, but I feel like that we could probably write a book about dog parks around America.
Probably. We've been to a lot of dog parks.
Can you describe the systems you've gotten from AM Solar?
So our first van, we had 200 watts of solar, 300 amp hours of, or 320 amp hours of battery, and we had the 3000 inverter. That was pretty much the main system. We used Victron batteries. Everything was Victron in our first van except for the solar panels, which were grape.
Yes.
Right?
Yep, they were great.
And then our new system is like really legit. It's a really cool system. So we have currently we have 500 amp hours of Battle-Born lithium batteries. We have the 3000 watt inverter again by Victron. We have 200 watts of Zamp solar. Our solar panels were really pretty this time. Like we got some really nice ones. I'm looking off in the distance trying to envision the van. What else do we have in there?
So we also have the new, it's like a Victron display controller.
The monitor.
Which it looks like a TV, but it's not.
Yeah, it's this little digital screen.
Yeah,
it's brand new
cool.
from Victron. I'm getting really close to being able to install it, and I can't wait to turn that thing on.
Yeah, it'll be really cool.
So our systems were very similar, but like I think our system this time around is what we had last time, but just a little bit more battery power and like the newer, fancier options of everything, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a nice little upgrade. We're really excited about this. What was that?
It's legit.
Oh, I couldn't see what you're doing.
98, 99, 100. What has surprised you about your AM solar power system?
I think being able to go anywhere whenever we want has been surprising, just the freedom that it offers.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Does solar give you enough power to power what you need and be comfortable?
I would say the answer is yes, for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. Our first fan, we had 320 amp hours of battery, and that was more than enough for charging our laptops, our fridge, our fan. We could go off grid comfortably for about 3 days, longer if it wasn't so hot, but it was still sunny so we can get solar, but our fridge wasn't having to work so hard. Things like that play a part in how long we can actually go comfortably off grid. Our new van's gonna have more battery power, but we will have an AC unit, so if it's really hot and we're off grid, it may not last as long. Time will tell of exactly what that's gonna look like, but we will have more than enough to run our fridge, our fan, our AC, powering our laptops and phones, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a comfortable setup.
Yeah, and we were surprised by the last fan on how long it would last. So.
Yeah, for sure.
How easy is it to work, travel, and be comfortable in the van?
Let's just say it's never going to be as comfortable as a house or an office because you're working in a very small area, and you will always have to be considerate of how much power you're using by checking your monitors every so often. I mean, you learn it very quickly, you know, what takes what, but
well, you're living with intentionality. Every day you have to think about where you're going, what you're doing, where you're getting groceries, where you're getting water, where you're getting electricity, or, you know, sometimes where you're sleeping. Like, you have to live intentional. Whereas when you're in a house, you can sort of coast on autopilot. You've got routines set up in place.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure. But you can do it comfortably. I mean, it's all about what works for you. So our van, some people looked at it and said, that would never work for me. Why don't you have a better dining sitting area, but you have computers in your van? Well, for us, the van is a place to work and sleep. And then usually when we're not working or sleeping, we're gonna be outside exploring or, you know, eating our meals at our campsite or something like that. We didn't spend time in the van unless it was just nasty weather and we had to work or sleep. Typically, it was just a catalyst to get us from one place to the next and allow us to go to these amazing places.
Yeah.
On. On. What are some of the bigger loads powered by your system?
Well, our first van had 2 iMacs. We ended up taking those out later on when I got a better laptop, but we started out with 2 iMacs, which doesn't take as much power as what you might think. It's not that different from a laptop.
No, but people were really surprised by that. They're like, you have 2 iMacs, you know, going? I'm like, yeah, and it works.
Yeah, I took that problem to AM Solar in our first consultation, and I said, hey, we want to put our 2 computers in the van to work, and Garrett acted like that was not going to be a big deal. He's like, that's fine, we can take care of that. He's like, you'll be surprised. And we were actually very surprised that it really didn't take that much more to power them versus charging our laptops. So that was something that was pretty surprising. It looked super, I don't know, techie and stuff, but it worked for us.
Yeah.
Our new van's gonna have a DC AC unit. That's going to pull power, obviously. It's a little more efficient than some of the other ones out in the market, but
still, that's a pretty big load.
That's a pretty big load. So, I mean, like we said, time will tell on how long we can run it at a time. I'm sure we'll learn it, but it's pretty impressive. Oh, a coffee pot, an electric coffee pot takes a lot of power.
Oh, hair dryer
Hair dryer, yeah. So we were able to power a lot with our inverter and batteries and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
What do you miss most about home life?
I don't feel like there's a lot we have to sacrifice. I mean, showers. I feel like we have to worry more about our water consumption than we do our power consumption.
Yeah, I think maybe the biggest thing would probably be the people, like the community around us, you know, the barista that we know down at the coffee shop. Like, we just miss saying hi. You know, obviously we're gonna come back and say hi later, but I don't know, I think we just miss people.
The familiarity, I think, our usual community, even the baristas. We always use that example.
I like coffee.
But I miss our showers. I guess I went to a more selfish thing. I miss having showers whenever I want. Like, I go for a run, I know I instantly get to come back and take a shower, but we have that in the van. You just have to always be thinking about it. Like Chris said, when you're in a house, you kind of go on autopilot because you have, you know, the power and the water and the heat and the cooling and all that. You don't have to worry about it. But in the van, it's just, you're always having to be aware of what you're using, where you're at, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Blue and I want to know, what are the most challenging aspects of van life? Like privacy, grooming, finding places to park, you know what I mean?
Oh, those two go hand in hand.
Yeah, I would think, so I think the most challenging thing about van life probably goes with the last question of community, of finding people. But once you find people on the road who are sort of in the same mindset, or maybe it's just visiting friends that you haven't seen in a long time, that's what makes it special. But there are moments where you're traveling and you're in the middle of nowhere and you don't know anybody, and everybody's sort of, yeah, it gets lonely.
We have each other, but we know people who travel by themselves. The special thing about van life is that we do have friends all across the country from before we even had a van. So the van allows us to see those friends that we don't always get to see. So in one way, we're losing out on the usual community, but in the other ways, we're seeing people that we may never have ever seen again. I mean, there are people that we visited that we thought, you know, when they moved away from our hometown to move across the country, we thought, we may see them one more time in life, or we may not, because how often do we make it to that little town in Oregon or something?
Yeah.
But it's been kind of cool. We plan our routes to see people and are very intentional about that.
Yeah, and then we meet people along the way too. You know, people reach out and they're like, hey, can we grab coffee? Can we grab a drink? And it's just, yeah, that's been really life-giving.
Yeah.
Good morning. What would you say to someone considering doing the van life thing, but maybe a little on the fence about it?
Just go for it. Just do it.
Yeah.
You're never going to be, okay, well, that's actually really bad advice. We want to say, if you're set up in a place in life that you can do it and you can do it responsibly, go for it. If you're just afraid of the what ifs of you may not like it, you're not going to know until you get out there. We do encourage you to rent a van first, maybe from somebody like Outdoorsy or something, where you can try it out for a few days. But if you have a job that allows you to work remotely, or you know, you've saved up enough to go on the road for 6 or 12 months, then just go for it. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. For us, we budgeted ahead of time of how much we were going to put into our first van. We said we want to put this much amount of money in our van, because that's essentially 1 year of rent where we were living in Seattle. So we said, let's commit to van life for a year. And we did that and we loved it. But knowing that after a year we could quit and we wouldn't be out any extra money was a pretty calming thing to know.
Yeah,
it was reassuring.
It's just a year.
Yeah, it's just a year. It's a year of our lives. If we hate it, we can quit in a year. But we loved it. But you may not love it.
And we've met so many people on the road who most are retired, and they're like, I wish I would have done this earlier instead of waited until my retirement to do this. And so I think the earlier and the smarter you do it, the better.
Yeah, know what you're getting into. Be financially smart about it. But that's, I guess, our biggest piece of advice.
So, has there ever been a time that you exceeded what your system was capable of?
Oh, we didn't even mention our hot water heater in our old van and our new van, same hot water heater, but they're both electric. That was actually probably our biggest power user. I didn't mention that. That we had to be more aware. We couldn't just leave our hot water heater on all the time. It used a lot of power. So anytime the water in the tank would get cool, it would instantly just start charging up again. So we had to be aware of when it was on and when it was off, so we weren't just zapping our batteries constantly, because it pulled a lot of power. Yeah, so that one we did more than once, I think 2 or 3 times. It was on and we didn't realize it was on, and all of a sudden everything cut off in our van. We said, what just happened? It was our water heater. It was our fault. You don't want to do that too often, but we did make that mistake a couple times, and everything turned out fine. I think we turned our car on, drove around, ran some errands, and we were good again.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to feel comfortable with your system? Is it like rocket science?
I think probably the first month.
I was gonna say a month too.
Yeah, the first month was probably a learning curve, just getting to know it, and you know, whether we were driving far or driving short, or just, I don't know.
Learning how to, you really have to be living in the van or traveling in the van. You don't have to live in it full time, but you have to be traveling in the van to really understand how fast things are going to charge, how much a hairdryer or a computer really uses when you're, how much power it's going to use. I mean, it takes, I'd say you're right, a month is a good life cycle of, okay, this is, you've used everything from, I don't know, does it make sense?
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. And it also depends on where you live or where you're traveling to, because our first month was a huge learning curve, but there were still things in the wintertime that we were still learning months later just because of, batteries act different in the cold, or different things, and they act different in warmer weather. And so you're still learning, but I think a month is probably a good gauge.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
What kind of technical and or mechanical background did you have that made you qualified to install your AM solar kits?
None.
We had none. We had zero experience at all. Like we said, if it hadn't been for the charts and some calls to AM Solar to help us figure out what the heck we were doing, I never would have managed.
Yeah, we knew what wires were, and that was probably the extent of our knowledge.
My extent of my knowledge didn't go past, I don't know, high school science. That was pretty much my knowledge.
Yeah.
So that was our experience, and it worked well.
Yeah, it worked well.
Woo! Oh. What would you say to people who are scared of electricity?
I almost didn't do van life because I was so scared about the electricity. For real. We're not kidding on that.
There's something about it, there's this mental block, and there's something about taking two wires and there could be a moment of just an explosion randomly happening, even if it's not hooked up to a battery. I don't know, it's a weird fear.
Yeah, well, they reassured me that I was not gonna kill myself doing this. They said, it's not enough to kill you, you're fine. I just envisioned myself just putting together two wrong wires and that was it. No, but really, I almost didn't want to do van life because I would see these videos online and I thought, oh, I can master, cutting wood and everything else that goes into a van, but the electricity was so foreign to me. I mean, our backgrounds are not in any sort of science at all. So it was very daunting, and I was doing tons of research. There was mixed information online. I didn't really know where to go, and then I called up AM Solar one day. Just driving down the road, I got a call from Garrett, and I told him what we're wanting to put in the van, and he gave me total peace of mind about, I'll send you the charts, this is what you need. And having already done enough research, I was familiar with the products that I knew that what he was telling me, the prices were very in line with what I had seen online. I mean, they weren't trying to make a buck off of us. It was just, we were buying peace of mind and also the same components that I was gonna buy on Amazon. So it was really the complete package, and that's, yeah, that was...
I don't know, there was something about having somebody in your corner that you could call or email or whatever and just kind of be vulnerable and say, am I screwing this up? There was just something about that we were able to, that took the edge off, but we have, no background in hooking things up.
Yeah, if you're that person, if you're like me, you think, I don't know that I can do this, you can do it. I promise you. Just take time, have patience, and you can 100% do it. I did it, and I'm doing it again, and I'm a lot more relaxed this time.
She knows what she's doing now.
Well, somewhat. AM Solar's still getting a lot of calls from us.
How has AM Solar supported you with your power systems?
A lot. They've saved our butts.
Yeah,
multiple
they have.
times.
There were very many phone calls, there were emails, there were so many questions that we had because we were brand new, and they were so gracious and patient with us. Over just the stupidest questions that we could ask, and so
I don't know if Sean takes all the calls, but I think on our first van, Sean was the guy, I guess, who've gotten assigned to helping us. Poor guy. I don't know if he's gotten assigned to us on this system. I haven't had a call yet, but Sean was incredibly patient with us.
I feel like every time he heard that we were on the phone, his eye would twitch and just be like, here we are again.
We felt so bad. We bought the team beers one time because we were like, you guys have saved our butts so much. Please have a beer because of the stress we've caused you.
Yeah, but I mean, all that to say, they didn't make us feel dumb, and it didn't seem like they were put out by us calling, because they were there to help us make sure that the system works. Because at the end of the day, you're spending a lot of money for all these components, and when you don't know how to hook it together, or maybe you've hooked something incorrectly and you're trying to figure it out, and especially when you're so up close to it and you're in the weeds, sometimes it's really helpful to call somebody like AM Solar, and they're able to take a 30,000 foot view and say, hey, this is what's really wrong with it.
Yeah, but like Chris said, the diagrams really helped out a ton. It actually told me how to hook up what wire. Everything was labeled in the box and matched up with the diagram labels. It made it so much easier for somebody who doesn't really understand electricity fully. It really, it really took a lot of the guessing out of it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the best place to learn about van life anyways?
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube is...
Blogs too.
Yeah, a huge asset on YouTube. There's so many people out there who are giving away free information and blogs too. That that's kind of where we got our start, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we fell into the whole YouTube van life hole back in 2017, I think, and there's a lot out there. Good and bad information, I think is what we need to preface it with. And we still are learning. We still make mistakes in our first van and probably in the new van too. We learned what we could have done better or done differently. So there is good and bad information online, but we do encourage people to go read blogs, watch videos, talk to people if you know somebody who has a van. We were fortunate enough to run into a stranger on a beach in Oregon who helped us out and just let us walk through their van because we had never seen one of these before. But weigh all the information you're learning. When in doubt, if you're not sure if what the information you're presenting, some people can present it like it is absolutely true and that is the only way to do it. There's a lot of ways to do everything in a van, and when you're unsure or you're getting mixed information, we encourage people to seek a professional.
Yeah, and that's why we sought AM Solar, because the videos at the time online, there was a lot of weird information about electricity and solar, and so we just wanted to go straight to the pros.
Yeah, and we definitely wanted quality over quantity, and we still got what we needed to keep our van fully functioning, but we wanted to get good components that were gonna last and weren't gonna be, one, dangerous, or two, have a shorter lifespan than what we could have bought with a name brand kind of thing, so.
How long can you boondock with your AM solar system?
Our old van, we could comfortably go off grid for 3 days.
Yeah.
Our new van, I think we could go off grid for a week plus with 500 amp hours of battery.
If we weren't running the AC.
Yeah, assuming we're not running the AC.
But with that said, one of the ways that we were able to go for so long, and if we were getting low, we would just turn on the car and charge by the alternator, which was amazing. Yeah, game changer. Because typically we would drive 30 minutes a day.
Just going to run errands to the grocery store, to the laundromat, to the new campsite, go to a hiking trail. You're gonna be driving, so every time we turned that car on, it was charging our batteries, which really, it charged it a lot faster than solar ever did. So why do we have solar? I mean, AM Solar can answer this better than us, but my understanding is that the solar panels sort of help top off the batteries. You know, the alternator can get it to that, like, I don't remember, it's like 90% or something like that, but it never gave the batteries a full charge, but the solar helped get it over that limit. Same for shore power. So we did have the option for shore power, so if we wanted to pay for a campsite or we were at friends or family's houses, we could plug in. But really, I think we got a lot of our power off the alternator.
Yeah, because, I mean, you have to go to the grocery store, you have to go to different places, and driving 30 minutes a day, I mean,
it's not that bad.
It wasn't that bad, and honestly, it helped us out a ton.
Yeah, and the solar really did add to it. So if we were parking, we were boondocking, we went out onto a BLM spot in Utah or something, and we went out there with 100% battery. We had been driving, the solar had been charging, and we had fully charged batteries. We could sit there, and the solar would still give us a little bit of power as we were sitting there, but typically we were depleting faster than the solar could charge it. So that's why we couldn't just go off indefinitely with our system. We had 200 watts of solar on our first van, and it worked well. Our new van, we have 200 watts of solar again, but we would have added more if we had had more room on our van. Our roof is a lot smaller than our first van, so we didn't have the room. But the alternator sort of offsets that for us.
So, the most important question is, when you guys gonna come hang out with us?
Oh man.
Soon.
Soon.
I hope soon.
I hope this summer, as soon as this van is done,
oh man,
we're out of here.
We are seeing a light at the end of the tunnel for the first time in 9 months, and that van is gonna be done this year. So as soon as it's done, we will put Springfield, Oregon on our route.
Yes, and yeah.
I think that's it. All right, see y'all soon.
Action.
Say action.
Solar coming at you right now.
Why did you decide to go?
No.
Well, that's just sad.
I knew somebody else should have sprayed it.
What to, yeah.
Yes, please.
Good.
have solar on your RV? I don't. I don't have an RV.
But you should get one.
I should get one.